Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Anime Watch Club, a bi-weekly group discussion and review where the hosts of the What You Say Anime podcast nominate and vote on shows either we haven't seen or hopefully lead to a great discussion. In today's episode, the Bread Boys of the What You Say Anime podcast will be reviewing the 2017 anime ACCA-13. This will be today's secret pure-blooded royals. First up, he was promoted due to his hatred of pumpernickel bread. We got Jay. Jay, how's it going?
Going well. Honestly, really enjoyed this show. Unironic hidden gem, in my opinion.
Awesome to hear. Next up, inspired by Akka, a land that named itself after an extinct bird, he named his 3D printing company Enron 2. We got Kat. Kat, how's it going?
That's funny as hell.
Thank you. I was happy about that one.
I'm doing great. I actually just started a second company underneath our 3D printing company where I do CAD design.
You gotta call it Enron 3.
Oh, God.
That'd be a funny name.
It would be.
That was one of your better jokes, Pete.
Thank you.
Intros you've ever done. That was really good.
Thank you. I'm very proud about
that. That was
this.
really funny.
Thank you. Our first moderator tonight, he has a conspiracy theory that Gene is also best genius from My Hero. We got Miles. Miles, how's it going?
I don't know what that means.
You don't know who best genius is?
No.
Oh, you should Google him real quick.
Okay, best?
And then come up with a conspiracy theory, how they're the same person in the next, 5 seconds.
Okay. Oh, best genius?
Genus. Like
Genus.
a pair of jeans.
Oh, is this the jeans guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I know who that is. I'm not going to... They both have the same hair.
I just wish you knew his name at the beginning, but it's all good. And we got Pat.
Yeah, Pat. There we go. In a new spot. We're making it work. Yeah. And welcome back to Watch Club, where we watched ACCA-13, the Territory Inspection Department. It was a 2017 specifically, anime done by Studio Madhouse, sourced from a manga. Genres of drama and mystery and themes of adult cast and detective. And it is a sign-in. I get that makes sense, actually, now I think about it.
Just like Rosen made it.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, they're basically the same show. You know, my rating will reflect that too, I'm sure. But yeah, let's get right into our first impressions. It's a pretty spoiler-heavy show, so let's try and keep it out of that realm for now. But Miles, why don't you start with your first impressions, and would you recommend this show?
Yeah, I would recommend the show. I think it is a good show. I think that at the beginning, I was pretty intrigued by everything going on. I think it does a good job of setting up the general espionage flavor that it's going for, right? Like, I think the main character is a pretty charismatic character in a pretty unique way, I sort of find, where throughout the whole time, and especially at the beginning, the characters and myself were never quite sure how much he knew and how much he didn't know, because there were signs that maybe he, could be masterminding some stuff in the background versus maybe people are pulling puppet strings on him. So I liked that whole dynamic. I thought it was fun, and I'd recommend it. I think it's an enjoyable show all around.
Alrighty. Kat, what about you?
Yeah, so my first introduction to this show was when I first started watching anime. I went through Crunchyroll and I just started adding a bunch of shows that I thought I would like to my watch list. And I watched about an eighth of them. And then I removed most of them. The one show that I didn't remove from my watch list, never watched. The one show I didn't remove was ACCA-13. And I was like, it just looks so good. It looks like it's a good show. And then I never touched it. And then somebody nommed it and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch it. And then it won. And I'm very excited. I'm very happy that we watched it, because this is a really, really good show. I really enjoyed it. I would absolutely recommend it. I would say, and this may just because I like mysteries, but I would say that this is honestly I don't think it's completely up there with what's it?
Odd Taxi.
Yes, Odd Taxi. I don't think it's up there with Odd Taxi, but I think it is very, very good. And I think a lot of people would really enjoy it.
Alrighty. Cool. Jay, what about you?
Yeah, I would say as far as like first impressions go, I don't think that the mystery aspect of the show is really what jumped out at me at first. I think that in terms of what really did, it was sort of like the more visual and sound aspects of the show. I think that is a very distinct look to it in terms of character design and environmental storytelling with the different districts. And then the soundtrack and sound design in general is just top notch in my opinion. Like whenever he smokes a cigarette or something, they're getting like the clicking and all the and that sort of thing. Or whenever they're walking in the snow, you can very much tell they're walking in the snow, that sort of thing. Yeah, I also agree with Miles about Gene being a very charismatic guy. At first, I was like, he's kind of quiet and not really doing a whole lot. But then it was like, oh, holy shit, actually. This guy is like he keeps you guessing the whole time about what his end goals are and if he even has any. And I really like a protagonist that can keep you on your toes like that. So, yeah, if you're somebody who likes sort of like slow burn mysteries, I would definitely recommend this.
Alrighty, Pete, what about you?
Yeah, I think everybody has said pretty much what I would agree with. If you're fans of shows that do like a one season bigger mystery picture instead of like multiple mini mysteries, I think this show is really good. Like stuff like Astro Lost in Space or Odd Taxi, where like the core structure is like there's one bigger mystery behind like the whole thing that's going on in the story. Miles gave me a look. I don't care what you say.
I just have to go lower Astro Lost in Space score again. I just remembered that the entire thing was contingent on everyone in the world keeping a secret. Sorry. Please continue.
Yes. Very, very true. But it was fun. Like I think like the world building was awesome in this show, like showcasing different territories that they had to like go to and sort of get an understanding of like what this world was. I thought was really interesting, kind of behind of like what does it mean to be like a territory inspector, and kind of breaking that down and then to find out like the bigger picture of the story was awesome to see. Yeah, this is just like a really fun show. I would definitely recommend it if you're a fan of mysteries. Yeah, I just say like mysteries in general.
There you go. All right. And I also would recommend this. So I think that's 5 recommends right across the board. I really like the show. I will say that it starts very, very slow, I think, even for a slow burn show. I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy the first few episodes, but I definitely wasn't. I think Jay kind of said it. Like I wasn't as hooked or wasn't really playing into that final arc of the show as much as I wish it was. But it was still really cool. It was. I really liked seeing the inner workings of the politics of the fictional state, and I think that the idea of how they coexisted and worked together it was pretty cool. Like it was. We'll dive deeper into that, but I think that is one of the world building is one of the stronger parts of the show in terms of the politics, at least. And I think that that's really cool. And yeah, my little history brain was on full throttle for most of the show, which I thought was really fun. So it almost resembles the United States in a way, I would say, in a very, very similar way. Just not maybe not in execution, but yeah. And I also think that the show asks a very good question at the end of the show that we'll get into later as well. So yeah, I guess that 5 recommends from us, and we're going to get into spoilers for it. And again, this is a very spoiler heavy show. There's a lot of stuff around like episodes 7 to 9 where things kind of change significantly, and then the ending of the show is a big spoiler as well. So be warned. And yeah, let's get right into it. Miles, do you have a little synopsis or a pre-planned thing at the beginning?
I have the most important talking point to start off with. Okay. Sure, we could get into a synopsis of the show so that our audience is grounded, but more important than that, the country looks like a bird. Are we pro or anti this?
Pro.
Pro.
Pro?
What are
Pro?
you even
Is everyone
asking me
absolutely.
for
This
that
is just-
for?
It's
I mean, it
fun,
looks
but
like a
it's
boot.
dumb.
Yeah, I think I'm also pro, but I think the little leaf in its mouth is too much for me. I think that's
Wow,
the
bro.
only immersion breaking part for me
Fuck you,
personally.
man.
I think
Sorry.
Where do you get off?
picking a bird that's extinct is also like a choice. It's like saying that like your country is an extinct bird. Like, is that where your country's headed? I thought that was like the biggest thing to take away from it. Like, you can name a bunch of birds.
Yeah.
Why are you picking the
he's saying
extinct one?
the island itself was shaped like the bird, right? Is
Like that has to be why they named it that.
Yeah, no, 100%. But like, it's like, what's like, it's like naming the United States of America like the dodo. It's just like we're naming ourselves. It's just say America looked like the dodo bird, even if it did. It's an extinct bird. And it's like you're naming yourself after something that no longer exists. To me, seems like a bad naming convention for a country.
1776, though. However,
it's the answer to 1984.
Yeah, there we go. I don't know. I do see that. It is also a peace symbol, though, so maybe that's what they were going for. Maybe it's to like build that tension.
What if they terraformed it? What if the people from Astro Lost in Space are actually from there? And before they left, they terraformed it into the shape of a bird, and then that's the new generation.
This is actually just one of the island nations in Attack on Titan.
They weren't nearly racist enough to.
Yeah, so like no one else interacts with him. That's why they're just
there was not a single ghetto shown.
Yeah, so true. Okay, now for like an actual.
I guess maybe the Les Mis place.
I was about to say there literally were ghettos shown.
Yeah, but we learn how much they like that. So, or how happy the people are, or whatever.
They don't have a cell phone. Imagine how cool that would be.
We follow a guy named Gene who works for ACCA, which is like a State Department thing, and they go
like
around.
Gestapo, if you will, almost. Right?
Yeah, he's almost like.
I don't know if I would.
I don't think he has the authority to arrest. Okay, so he works.
Sorry to continue the Attack on Titan joke, but sorry, no, it's not that level, but still.
Yeah, he works for Doge. Okay, and
that's crazy. That's arguably worse than what Pat said.
That's also true. I was about to say that.
I gotta say, it is closer to his job, though. His job seems to be more effective. Anyways, he goes around to the different places and does inspections and meets with the people to make sure that everything's being run ship shape. They're also in a monarchy, but there are like 13 states as well. It's a pretty interesting, like, sort of socio-political climate. A thing of note is that the king is 99 this year, I believe, and he has kind of a shitty, bratty grandson who is next in the line of succession for reasons, I guess. Did we figure out why? What happened to his parents?
Because all of the people in the lineage were women.
Women. Okay, so it was his mom was a woman. Okay.
Yeah.
So, his mom was a woman.
That's very progressive of you, Miles.
Thank you. Happy Pride
basically. It's just all the only people that can actually rule the throne are people that are blood descendants of the king, and if you don't have that, you're SOL.
Okay, and I guess you need to. It's like patriarchal or whatever. They don't like England. Yep. Okay, and so there's like that sort of thing going on. As Gene, who's our main character, goes to the different territories to investigate, you get the sense that some sort of conspiracy is brewing. People seem to think that Gene is at the center of a coup d'etat plan to overthrow the heir of the country, who isn't in power, but will be eventually. So, like, to install a new heir. Though he seems not aware of this, but aware that he is at the center of these rumors. And it's pretty interesting, in my opinion, in these early episodes, because I think when you're watching this, you could kind of go either way on if Gene is part of this plan actively or not. You get some internal monologue that would suggest no, but you also have moments like when his friend Nino is like in a fucking, like on a mountaintop using binoculars to like spy on him, and he just sort of looks at him and then like goes into like where he's going. So my question would be for everyone, this early characterization we get of Gene, of the world and stuff. What did you think was initially going on? What was the initial conspiracy you had in mind? Did you think he was involved? Did you think he was not involved and will get entangled? What do we think there? Jay looks like he wants to start us off, so let's have him do it.
I just thought, okay, so I've been spending some time at bars, and I'm not really a smoker, but I smoke whenever there's hot gay people around. And one thing I've noticed is that if you give people cigarettes, they fucking like you. They will like you if you give them cigarettes. And I just thought that he was just the wizard when it came to having cigarettes and being like a fine connoisseur of cigarettes. Like, I imagine he would smoke like American Spirit Blacks or something like that. Like something pretty harsh that normies wouldn't understand. And yeah, I thought that people just thought, hey, this guy smokes cigarettes, he looks cool, he's got Riz, and has he's already high up in the chain. So, but I didn't actually think he was a part of it. I thought that they were just like kind of using him as like a symbol, which I guess they sort of were. Spoilers.
Have you ever seen The Usual Suspect?
At some point in my life.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
Okay, I'm gonna spoil the movie The Usual Suspect for everybody.
I'm gonna take the headphones out.
Okay.
But I already know who did it, but I'm still taking the headphones.
So how I thought that this was going to work was in The Usual Suspects, it's like 5 Goonies or whatever lackeys, and they're kind of like, they're dumb, you pay them money, whatever, and they'll go whack a guy for you. And then at the end of The Usual Suspects, one of the 5 lackeys was actually like the mastermind the whole time. And it's like, gotcha. So when I saw like the 5 or like what do they call them, like the 5 heads of ACCA, and they are all sort of like
heads or whatever.
They're all sort of like gravitating towards Gene in these like audits that he's doing. Like the 5 heads all knew about like the coup like sort of happening and everything, and Gene was the one. So I thought it was going to be something along the lines of like, these 5 heads are trying to get into like Gene's pocket. So they can so Gene would like side with them. That way they have like an insider on this guy who goes everywhere. But then like the twist at the end was Gene was actually sort of running the behind the scenes the whole time. And that's where I thought it was going to go. But I was pleasantly happy with like sort of like the outcome of how
you do get an element of that.
A little bit, but it's not like the same.
Within the 5 chiefs, right? There's one who seems most subservient. And at the end, he's like, hey, I wasn't.
Yeah, a little bit for sure. I guess it's like how was in my mind wasn't the same as how it played out, but like it was similar. Yeah.
I understand. Jay, you were.
No, I wasn't doing anything else.
Oh, I thought you weren't listening.
No, I was listening at the end.
Oh, okay.
But I did want to say, yeah, Pete, you would know about 5 heads.
That's just mean.
That's pretty good.
Speaking of that, they do have massive foreheads in this show, don't they? It's kind of crazy.
I didn't notice really, but maybe it's because I also have a pretty big forehead.
Mauve has.
I gotta say, I think they do have big foreheads, but also just sort of like elongated skulls.
Yeah.
No. Like scale wise, it's not. But like if their heads, how there's the famous meme of it's like, why are you running? This is what you wanted or whatever. And it's like the anime girls with like the big, like, if these were humanoid, like, or real people, their heads would literally be like the size of like, I don't know, like Jorge the Jalapeno from that Jeff Dunham guy. Like, I don't know who else to reference, but like, that's how elongated it would be on a steak, by the way. God, I loved Jeff Dunham. Too bad he's come out as a kind of guy.
Yeah, so it is the people you most suspect.
Yeah, that's
I mean, he reeked of it. So
he reeked of it, but he's still funny sometimes, at least.
It happens. I mean, but with the whole I kill you bit, sort of, you could have guessed.
Hot one time.
Yeah.
So I understand. Sometimes, broken clocks, etc.
Peanut's a good character too, at least. But yeah, no, to get away from that point though, the forehead point, I didn't really know where it was going to go. Honestly, I was kind of just enjoying the ride. I wasn't really trying to, for a show that is definitely like a mystery. I feel like I do this a lot though with mystery shows. I kind of just go with the ride, and I don't sit there and go, oh, I think it's like who done it. I don't care about that at all. I kind of just want to see how it unfolds. especially in those first few episodes, there wasn't a lot to follow, specifically, at least for me, that I didn't pick up on. I kind of just enjoyed him going from place to place and learning how each state operates within the geopolitical climate. And I was just like, it felt very like Violet Evergarden-esque, just because that's what first comes to mind, where it's like, you got this piece of a story, and then this piece, and then Gene's going around and filling in the blanks, or finding the blanks, or finding the errors and things like that. I thought that was really cool. And then obviously, though, that second half of the show, it really heats up when the initial, the ball is dropped, so to speak, that he's the grandson of the king. Like, I think that's really where it took off for me in terms of mystery and trying to figure it out. But even then, I didn't really know. I was kind of just like, I have no idea where they're going to go with this. Is he going to live? Is there going to be a random like gunshot and he's dead kind of thing? Or was Lilium going to try and come in and snake his way through something else? There was a lot of potential for backstabbing, and I don't know if I really felt that much. Jay and Kat both had something to say. I think Jay indicated first. So Jay, what do you have?
You've watched seasonal anime? Like, obviously you don't watch a ton, but mysteries, watching that week to week, do you think that works better for you to question the mystery, or are you still somebody just along for the ride if you're not binge watching a show?
That's a good question, actually. I don't know if I've ever. Yeah.
Because like in the Discord, join the Discord, by the way.
Sick plug.
Everybody loves discussing like the Apothecary Diaries week to week, and I don't think it would be quite the same if the Apothecary Diaries was like a Netflix show or whatever that dropped all at once. Like, there would obviously be a huge surge, but a big part of what is fun about following something like the Apothecary Diaries is discussing it week to week.
Yep.
That's so interesting, because it never came off to me like that. That's how that show would be, and I avoid all the spoilers because I know I'm eventually going to watch it because of how good it is. But I've just never sat there and been like, oh, there's a mystery element to it too, which I guess speaks to how well I've avoided all of the spoilers. I just thought it was about Mau being a gremlin, robbed of Gremlin of the Year, by the way. Or did she win? Either way.
There's a whole discussion to have there.
Sorry, Kat had a point.
Court is currently looking.
Yeah, well, the Supreme Court better vote correctly. Either way, yeah. But Kat, go ahead.
So, honestly, like, when it comes to mysteries, it's just, I hate having to wait for like a good mystery. It's why I never like get to the end of like when Burley is like really excited to Burley's my wife, by the way. If Burley is really excited to watch Apothecary Diaries and we binge all the rest of it, she is very sad when we finish and there's not more and the season isn't over. So we just wait. I do like discussing with the rest of you, but to be honest, I would rather just wait in lieu of discussion, because I like discussing at the end of the show and just be like, wow, that was a really good show.
That's valid. Yeah, so I guess to further answer Jay's question, I don't really know which I would prefer, because I'm trying to think of like what mysteries I watched seasonally, like week to week. I guess Bunny Girl Senpai's first season I did, although that wasn't really episode to episode mystery. I guess there was like within the arcs, like what's going to happen.
That's also not like solvable, right?
No,
like
right.
In the same way that something like Odd Taxi or this or
like
Apothecary Diaries is like, or Shoshimen, you could be like, oh, let me get my own cups and see how many it takes to make hot chocolate.
Bro, you hate that episode.
I do.
How is this solvable though? I would argue that the show, to me at least, other than like sitting there and like,
I guess my thought is that this is more solvable than something like Bunny Girl Senpai or like Monogatari, which is like supernatural in a way that is not particularly predictable in the, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, like
I suppose, yeah.
You know what I mean? You could be like, oh, I think these people are doing the coup because of like X, Y, and Z, and you can like kind of get some of the way there. Whereas it's like, oh, this lady has we're in a time loop now, and like you can like kind of solve that, but it makes it harder, and especially with like how it's like serialized. Like you have like 2 episodes to do it. There's not like a ton of information being given in like Bunny Girl Supply. I'm not like trying. I know that I'm normally like, oh, Bunny Girl Supply. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying it's like
No, I know.
structurally sufficiently different that I
No,
think
that's
it's
fair.
yeah.
I understand what you're saying now. Yeah, I'm sure watching it week to week would then make it a little more likely on my end. But at the same time, I can't remember like between episodes, at least consistently, I was kind of just like, oh, I just want to watch the next one. I really don't know where it's going, but I'm excited to see how it gets there. You know, like I I guess it was a surprise that he was a descendant of the king. I think I clicked on a spoiler in a Mal thing that like the first line said that, and I was like, damn it, that was like why did I click on that?
Whoopsie.
I try not to. I try not to normally. But the end of the show felt I guess do we want to talk about that now? Just because like why not? Like how we got or the final resolution we got to or
I suppose we could do. There's some other topics that are more vibey of the show because I think the end of the show might be where we have the most disagreements.
Oh, then perfect. Yeah, let's start out elsewhere then.
Okay. So like another thing I want to talk about, and I think multiple people sort of referenced this, but someone thought of a show that was like the first show setting wise that came to mind, which is Violet Evergarden. But like there are a lot of anime that take place in like vaguely post World War Europe. And those are different, you know, like this has more modern technology than Violet Evergarden, except for the like top tier prosthetics that Violet has. But I thought out of all of the anime that I've seen that are vaguely post World War whatever Europe, this felt the most distinct to me. I feel like they did a good job of making it feel like vaguely different post-war Europe, and that the regions felt like they were different enough. Like they were not incredibly different, mind you, but they were different enough that it made me happy. But like even stuff with like bread and like the different flowers that were in different locations and stuff, I think they just did a good job of like expanding that. So what do we think about the general setting of this country? Because there's a lot of imaginary European countries in anime, and sometimes I feel like they can feel a bit samey, and this one was samey, but had enough garnish on it for me to be like, I like this place. What did everyone else think?
I didn't feel exactly the post World War Europe vibe, mainly because they had like cell phones and other like modern technology, I guess. But
Technically after the World War, Pat. But yes, no, you are correct there. It is definitely like more technology.
You got me. You got me. Well, I think the world building is the strongest part of this show personally, because I got frustrated with how many characters there were and their names and everything, like trying to keep track of it in my head. I mean, that's probably why I had that character sheet up the entire time, because I had to keep like looking every time they'd say a name or like remind myself who was. But I think like you said, every region felt very different, and it felt maybe it's a different pop culture reference than we necessarily want to bring up, because this might be some debate too. But like, I think it's one of the strengths of the Hunger Games as well, or that series, is the 13 districts. I think it's pretty damn cool how they took the United States, and split it into 13 theoretical districts that all have their strengths. You know, the lumber, fishing, electricity, mining, whatever, all those things. I thought that was very similar to what this show did, almost in a literal sense, because there's 13 city states or states, whatever, each within with their own specialty that contributes to the wealth and the well-being of the country. But I thought that they, like you said, established them very well with different sceneries. You know, you had the snowy land that does lumber, and the different breads that they have was a cool way to like tie in an interest level within him and his family. And it was, I suppose it was also a little, what do you call it, nod to the fact that, oh, she really loved sweets, and the king himself, her grandfather, also loved sweets. You know, I thought maybe that was like a hint, so to speak, of how they were related. I never really clicked for me until I just said that now. But I really thought the world building, like with the technology, was cool, and it also showed. I don't think the show in particular took a big stance on it, but it did show the inequalities of the different districts and what they what they had, such as that very historical one that, saw a cell phone and was like, what the heck is this? Oh my God, that's crazy. Weren't allowed to interact with commoners. Then there was the desert one. There was the gambling friendly one, Pete's favorite one, probably, I thought it was really cool. Like, again, it didn't take like a pro or anti stance on the existence of or the way things are set up, but I thought it was really cool how they'd established it extremely well too. But yeah, Kat, what about you? Had something else on this?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed the setting because while I was watching, a lot of relations that I had from this world to like existing places in the real world, I thought about how I kind of thought about America and not like early, like post like 1950s America, but more like 1980s, 1990s. Mainly because not just the cell phones and computers, but also like with the inequality of like how things are being run. It reminded me of about how like the existence of different technologies and how slowly and how prohibitively some of the technologies had spread throughout the country. Because I grew up in a very secluded place. Like it was 30 to 45 minutes to the nearest like hospital type of thing. And part of
How long it took for Appalachia to get like internet and all that, right? Like exactly.
Like it's thinking about all of that and thinking about how like the different countries kind of represent different areas of America and how they interact with each other, and how the people that have the most that do a lot of the most like grunt, quote unquote, brain dead work are the people that have the most to say about the inequality in the system currently, because they are feeling that the most. And seeing that in this world, I think, is actually a stance on that, and seeing like there needs to be an actual effort to put that forward. And I think they did take a stance with how everyone talked about the person that runs that like district or that country.
Did they though? Because they kind of also had those districts where they were like, oh, we're poor and we're simple, but we like it. We're very happy with it. Like, I would almost say that it took the opposite stance to what you're saying, Kat, the show did, which is one of the things that I was going to eventually criticize it on towards the end, or just in our general more controversial part. But like, I guess that's what kind of what I was trying to get at too earlier, is that it was cool to see them coexisting, but it also kind of had that weird moment where it was like, oh yeah, the people that don't have cell phones, but are like literally a state's border away from the capital, that live like they're 200 years older than we are. Yeah, but they're really happy though, and they want it that way. And it's like, is that?
You know who it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Amish. Like they're aware of everything that's going on. They just choose that lifestyle. However, in ACCA, it's like they're based off their region, they're forced to. But it just kind of reminded me of the Amish.
That's a fair point, I guess. I just was thinking, like you said, Pete, like specifically in the show, they're like, oh yeah, but we're really happy. And it's like,
are you?
You guys were like literally like salivating over the cell phone and the existence of a cigarette, like how good is that?
Novel
and of course,
for them. Like they're just seeing some weird stuff to them,
But they don't know what it is, so
yeah, it's just novel to actually see it. It's like if you saw like a helicopter or some shit near your house.
That's a good point. I gotta say,
like my copter up back.
Yeah, exactly.
The Miles copter.
Coastal Elite, yes.
Yo, pick me up tomorrow.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Pat, if you're a fan of like this border possible war territory thing, if that's like something that tickles your fancy, you should really watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Because that's what the ACCA map and all that stuff that I went into, it reminded me of two things. It reminded me of like post Yugoslavia with all and then Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, like sort of just like how the territories are very like, you're not only does this show make an effort to expand on the world. I feel like it does a good job at giving the territories that it wants to cover the time it needs. And so that's something that I want to give props to with this show, that, you know, when you talk about like, this is like a different form of world building, and they took a lot of detail and a lot of effort and time. They took like full ass episodes to explain to us what some of these territories like mean to the country. And I could see that being like a positive and a negative, depending on like, you know, like, come on, let's get through this. Like, I get it. But like, if you find like the territories interesting, I think it's like an incredible addition to this type of show, especially with like the political side of it, where like we want to understand why these different countries are doing coups and the different like why, how they're set up, and then why they're all sort of rebelling at the same time for like kind of different reasons. So I thought like that aspect of the show was like awesome. Loved it.
I agree with everything except for the Full Metal Alchemist part. Surely the
Bro,
best
you would
anime of all time.
love
No
that
way.
show. You would love that show.
It's like
Absolutely
70
love that show.
episodes too long. 70 episodes too long or so. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, I'll get to it someday. Ashley's
You've
actually
been
watched
saying
it
that for
before I have, which is
5
funny.
years. Since
Yeah,
I've
and
known
look how-
you, you've been saying
and
that.
Look how long it's taken me to watch End of Evangelion. I mean, can you imagine? That's just one movie. Can you imagine how long it would take me to finish a 70 episode show at this point? Like, oh no, I'll watch it.
51 episodes?
It's like
I don't know.
50 something out of 60 something.
It feels like
It
70
just
in
has
my head.
so many things that Pat would just fucking love, and he just refuses to watch it.
does.
Like, this is like a huge thing in Full Metal, is like the territories.
It's 64, and it takes place in vaguely
Post,
post-war
yeah.
Europe.
Yep.
Yes.
Which is a cool setting. It is. It's an objectively cool setting. Yeah. You know. Well, we can't all say we've watched everything, you know, and
Can I be a bit controversial?
okay.
Because I might be the most controversial person on this. I don't know. So we've started talking about how the show's pacing is sort of slow at the beginning. I want to make the claim. Here's my claim. The show's pacing is slow throughout the entire thing. Nothing happens in this show. That is my claim. My claim is that I liked this show. I thought a lot of the things was interesting, or a lot of things that happened were interesting. And then also, nothing happens. Like, I know there was a scene, and the scene was like, we're going to maintain the status quo, and we're going to like reorganize our internal structure for this one department. But like, I don't know, maybe it's just that I'm an older man now, and my company does a reorg every other year. But it just felt like it could have been an email.
I see where you're coming from with this though too, because like I had the same feeling when I finished the show. My initial reaction was like, really, nothing like catastrophic happened. Everything that they said was going to happen in the show happened. You know, they kind of establish everything as it continues on. There was no real massive twist, and then I kept reading to make sure I didn't miss anything, and I shouldn't say nothing happened either, of course, too, at the end. Like, there's the big twist that, everyone was aware that Lilium was planning a coup of the coup, or like, you know, like to gain more power through the coup, even though everyone else was kind of just playing along and trying to keep the status quo. I thought that the resolution with them ending up as a separate state or a seceding state was interesting, especially because correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the train accident happens on their border, correct? So it brings into question too whether they were involved in the initial train accident that ended up killing specific people, not Lilium themselves, but their
faction or whatever.
Their faction, their family, their house of, you know, like I'm pretty sure that's where it happened. I don't know. I had to have the map open in another tab when I was watching this show every time too, to try and make it make sense.
You put in more effort than I did, so perhaps you were correct there. I don't know. I've been reading Rose of Versailles. Okay, so anytime the solution is like, let's keep the royals and just like continue being a monarchy, I'm like, boo, kill him, kill that kid. Kill him.
It wasn't really that they continued in. I guess they were still in power. Just they changed the kid's mind into being like, yeah, no, you're in power, but in name only. I guess.
It was like, you better watch the fuck out, you little brat.
Yeah,
Like that's what it was, and they should have just killed him. That's my take.
would have been fun. Would have been like the second time we see someone die in the show, or at least get shot. Like for a show that like feels like it's going to be dangerous. It only had the one gunshot, right? That I can remember, which of course was Nino taking the shot for Gene. Like that.
Yeah,
other than
it
that,
was like high tension and no like release valve for like a large period of time. Pete, you had some thoughts here.
Well, I'm going to add on to your hot takes and some maybe controversial stuff along with this, because while I was just talking about how I loved how they took the time to showcase these different territories to really bring the world to life, I think there were some that like didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. And I think that the show was too long. And they do this in the show itself, where I think if you wanted to, I think the flow, the pace would have been better in like a movie format if you gave us hints through like news, because they do it in the show where like you see like a news broadcast for like a couple seconds, and then that way we get some ideas about some other territories. If we had that with like news segments or like newspaper articles or stuff like that, to like that way it could also build the world, but like not take full episodes to like showcase some territories, I think that this show could have flown a little bit better. But that was like my biggest. It's like I loved what they did and I also hated it at the same time. So I'm in the same boat as Miles, where like things were happening, but like also some things like weren't happening. And we'll oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say just slice of life Pete not liking the
slice of life. I was gonna mention the fact that like people will watch slice of lives and someone will make a sandwich and they'll be like, nothing happened, and I'll be like, holy shit, they made a sandwich. It's like it's like to each their own type of thing, where like I get that things are happening, but like I kind of wish that they weren't, or showcased in a different manner. Go ahead, Jay.
But you know the prince is your guy, Pete, really quick.
Schwan?
VA.
Oh, he's your Mamoru? I'm gonna keep a beat with you. Mamoru's kind of not been hitting for me this year, so.
Ooh, okay. Well,
I'll be honest with you. I didn't even notice it was him.
Okay. I watched the dub.
I also watched the dub, so that also helps why I didn't notice it was him.
I was gonna say you probably didn't.
Yeah, that was Damon.
We can't let that one slide. We can't let that one slide. Yeah, I didn't notice that the voice
notice.
So true. Yeah, no, he's technically correct. It's the best kind of correct. Jay, you have thoughts here?
Yeah, I agree that the show was a little bit too long. I think, first of all, the assassination plots were literally meaningless. Nothing happened from them, and even the guy who did get shot was just all right afterwards. And I think instead it should have just been like ACCA-6. And then spend 12 episodes, give each like sector like 2 episodes, and really dig into like the culture and that sort of thing.
They literally had him in the cars with the assassins, and then they said, nah, we won't just kill him there. We're gonna drive away and get caught in traffic. I thought that was really dumb.
There was also a guy there. Like that's why they stopped, because the guy, who's a fun character, his like
mustache man.
Yeah, mustache man, who like has interactions with the sister, who's like a whole character who has like major plot points that we've just not even touched upon.
Well, the fact that he's the other guy, they reveal it at the end, right?
Yeah, he's Nino's boss as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's like he shows up. They could have just what? Oh, someone saw it. Just shoot him and shoot the other guy and drive away. I don't know. Use the guns. Jay is making a good point here.
And then
that's my point. I agree with you. It was really dumb.
I think we all are.
Themselves afterwards. Remember?
Yes.
They said they killed themselves.
They could have taken another shot while he was like no, just like sitting there on his knees. Shoot him again.
Like, oh fuck.
And I guess this sort of like another encapsulation of like my general issue with this show is that even when things happen, the end result maintains the status quo relatively heavily. Like even at the end, like, okay, they've reorganized ACCA.
Sorry to interrupt, but if it does
No.
help, there is an OVA set a year after.
I would love to see
the
that.
two
Maybe that'll
done.
help
I
because
don't
That might help. Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, I was just like reading a synopsis of the final episode to like get a thing, and it's like, oh, like this place, you know, they secede, but it actually didn't impact anything because they found the resources that they like. Nothing happens. It's like you're just shuffling around the pieces on the board, but nothing's happened. It's sort of like
How unique of an ending of a show, though, at the same time, in a way where it was like, oh, by the way, no, like their whole goal, the whole show was, like you said, maintain the status quo, keep things the same. And then the fact that they kept saying that near the end of the show over and over and over again, every single chief deputy, whatever, the fact that they kept saying that made me think that they weren't going to do that. You know, like that there's no way the status quo maintains the same. And again, guess technically not because the 13th state secedes, but like then they retcon that in the last line of the show as well, where it's like, oh yeah, no, they found the resource. So there you go. Like, so like, what was the point? I guess it's bold and cool that they won and succeeded in keeping the status quo, but then also what's the point of the message or what happened? Again, I do agree that that OVA must have more to it, right? Surely.
I don't think no, it doesn't have to because like again. And you know, I don't know, Kat. Do you have any thoughts on this? Because you said you like really enjoyed this show, which I think we all liked this show. But like, what did you think about this aspect of it? Because it seems like the rest of us are kind of in agreement that like, I don't know what it is. It's like the vibe and like atmosphere of the show is like really good, and you're just sort of there. But then like, also it's not that big of a historical moment in this country. I feel like
it's not. Yeah, like so part of the reason why I enjoyed the show is because it was a way for me to point at something that's in media and go, hey, this is American politics. Weirdly enough, because like the thing is that them trying to continue the status quo is like, oh, this is gonna hurt. This hurts me saying it, but it made me enjoy it. The son, or the grandson, not Gene, the other blonde-haired kid. He is, yeah, the Prince.
Schwan.
Yeah, Prince Schwan is kind of like Trump, and it's
Kat, I'm sorry. I was wondering where you were going to go with this, and I just don't see it at all.
It's not even
Yeah.
close.
No, like maintaining the status quo. Neither of them, like the entire Democratic, like if out of the two parties
Trump,
in our
he'd be
system,
the one doing the coup.
yeah, he literally was the one doing the coup with Gen 6. Like I don't know. Like this is where I'm like, I'm not seeing the analogy here. I'll let you go.
Okay, there's an argument to be
Miles
made.
disagrees that Trump was doing a coup on January.
Yeah, I think that was completely justified. No.
Clip it.
whoa. Okay,
YouTube short right there.
Oh fuck! I got God. My dad will be proud of me. If to make a comparison to Prince Schwan and Donald Trump, which I am going to defend, Kat, and I don't do this very often. Kat has some ideas. I usually find them to be pretty far out there, but they both did try to assassinate someone that would, in theory, be a threat to their successorship, be it the next democratically elected president, or be it someone who is actually higher up on the line of succession than they are in order to maintain power.
Was it not the aunt or the daughter, whatever, of the sister of
I think they
Gene's
both
mom?
do it.
I thought it was her twice. I don't know. Oh,
So I
maybe it
think
was.
she does Gene and he does, what's her name? The sister, Lotta.
I thought he lusts for her at first.
What?
And
I don't even know. Are you thinking a bullhead guy who's different than the prince?
no, Schwan, doesn't he say,
Schwan
I
does.
took an interest in her because he finds her, I don't know, he blushes.
Oh, yeah, he notices her at like the party or whatever, but then he puts together, and this is the part where he's not like Trump, right? Because he's like actually able to to like do some basic deductive reasoning,
Yeah.
despite not being that smart. But like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he attempts to assassinate these people.
Oh, his
Like
mom
he is
does.
one of the aunt does, and then does he not do any sort of like, hey, kill people to anyone? You just sit there. He's just like, that sucks that this is going to happen. I feel like he tries doing something.
Well, he doesn't know it's going to happen, doesn't he? Until
He learns about it pretty midway through not the coup, just the fact that this guy exists, right? Just the fact that he's alive and is higher up on the line of succession if you're going like purely by birth order and not accounting for like people who have like renounced their titles and stuff like that.
Oh, right, because he has the photo removed of the princess.
Yeah.
Although that's the mom, not her.
He didn't have it
technically.
removed. He just put his next to it.
No, they literally switched it. That was the whole. He was like, "Oh, it replaced it or whatever" in that spot. I thought.
Yeah, because that's where he sits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, so like he realizes through talking to his aunt and the photo and her and like Lotta being at the party or whatever, that, and then also his assistant who's actually working with our team kind of, but explains that like the other sister could have had a son and that would be a threat to you because they would be higher in the line of succession than you are. Maybe I'm phantasming this. I remember him being semi-active in the assassination plot.
I can't remember, and I just watched it today, so you're not at fault here. I do vaguely. I feel like you might be right, and
It's okay,
Or-
man. No harm, no foul. Like
Yeah.
he failed, so it's fine. Whatever.
That is
a plot point. Yeah,
that is a plot point.
He threatens to have me assassinated all the time. Literally all the time.
Yeah, but he keeps trying to send me, and I'm like, I'm not trying to die. So-
So I guess we got to the broader point that I was going to try to make at the beginning of our discussion. That was like, what do we think about the ending of this show and the fact that it ends the way it does? You know, without anything really happening. Obviously, something happening, but so like I want to make sure I fully understand it. The district or the council of 5 vanishes, right?
Yes. They get
And
dissolved.
then
Yep.
they get dissolved or sent back to their districts to focus on them. And now Malv is just in power, right? Like she's just replaced all of them.
It kind of
essentially
seems like they might have
installed a
started-
dictatorship. Like, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
like that's what I'm trying to pick because I was trying to piece it together. Like, how does it make sense to dissolve the council and then put one person in charge? I guess they all supported her, but at the same time, like that's not very democratic or representative of.
But they are a monarchy.
Yeah, I say they don't care.
It's a monarchy, but yeah, that's fair.
Because they do. The way that I viewed it is like, this is the Magna Carta of this country, right? Where not exactly like the royal line, but whatever the like House of Lords would be, basically flexes their power to the nobility and like solidifies that they are that, right? Like, because the king guy was trying to dissolve them because he viewed them as a threat to his power, or the prince, but he's not even in charge yet. What does the 99-year-old king think of that? You know what? It doesn't matter.
He liked them, I thought.
He thought of it as a symbol of peace. Like it started because of as a way of calming down the unrest in the 13 countries, and then he said, I've kept you around because you are a symbol of peace, because like you have helped keep
yeah. So you know how in Licorice Recoil,
oh god,
there's a secret organization or a not so secret organization that sort of does a soft fascism thing. That's just sort of what's happening here, huh?
Yeah.
Soft
Maybe.
fascism isn't so bad.
As long as I agree with me.
Yeah,
Pete,
exactly.
Are you with
Fascism
me
is
on
great,
the
right?
January
Yeah.
6th thing? Were you not?
I
can't say something controversial at this moment.
Okay.
But
I'll give you-
You're gonna tank the stock even more, bro. You can't do that.
Yeah. here's the clip. Here it is.
let me find out tomorrow if I have a job or not. And if I don't, I'm going to full right-wing grifter. I'm down.
That's what I was gonna
I'm
say.
getting Twitter blue. I'm saying
Chibi
shit.
reviews
Yep.
time.
It's easy money.
It's so easy, buddy. That's the sad thing. Dumb people are making more money than me, and that makes me sad.
One of them is president. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Star of the deal, baby.
but this show does almost feel like to me, with the like you said, the lords essentially just like being sort of dictators in a way. Like it's like very much like, oh, if everyone just listened to me, everything that was wrong in the world would be right or fixed or whatever. Like it's that classic like middle school train of thought that you might have where it's like, oh man, I have all the answers, and if everyone just listened, we wouldn't have any problems. And it's like, and I don't know, maybe in this 13 country state thing it works. Maybe the US should do that. Maybe we should make like New England or the Northeast one state and Midwest one state, and then everything would be better.
Hell no.
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 Me and
I can
Preston are
tell
going to be
you-
in the same state.
Well, population wise, it would make sense. I mean, the Northeast alone being one state would be kind of crazy. Like, think about like
so stinky.
it gives you your cheese, though. It gives you the cheese.
We
though.
have cows in Minnesota.
No, I'm just saying it could work. Or in theory, like when you think about like the way that this is set up, it would be the solution that it's proposing for us as a country. And then each part would actually be accurately, I guess, represented by those lords, assuming they are all not corrupt, which I guess was also a weird thing about this show. The fact that there's 13 like lords, so to speak, just because I can't remember what they were called, district chairs or whatever.
Yeah.
And not a single one of them was like truly corrupt or maniacal or evil. And that's just not, that might be the most unrealistic part of the show, right? Other than, I guess,
or maybe they
William
are
was
evil.
technically kind of.
They were like soft evil, though.
I don't think he was really that evil.
They're
more
like lawful
self-serving.
evil. Yeah, they're lawful evil, not like chaotic or because like I don't know. I mean, even like self-serving evil in this case, like William is self-serving in the sense that he wants for his people to be in power rather than or him directly, but like his people to have the most important voice rather than an equal voice to the other 12 districts or country, whatever. Versus like in real life, like we sit here and we see senators or politicians like constantly, like literally the land doesn't vote debate, in the whole electoral college. Like that's what we see in our country, and it's just there's no resolution. It's not like all of them are good or bad. It's like just I don't know. Why did we start talking about politics? Who brought that up? What idiot?
That would be
up?
me.
Oh no, it was me. I thought I was joking that it was me, but yeah, fair enough, Kat. You did bring it up.
It's a heavily political show. It's hard not to draw analogies.
Yeah.
It's not like we haven't talked
in
politics
2017.
on the podcast before.
Right.
Never once have we done it. And
don't listen to my
I finally listened to the High School of the Dead, and I was surprised to learn that all of you are libertarians.
Yeah. No.
It was just like, yup.
No.
Wait, no.
When it comes to boobies, absolutely. Yeah. I'm very libertarian about them. There you go. Take with that and form whatever conclusion you want. Bonk. Yeah. Thank you. In 2017, though, being the time of the show's airing, I mean, there can't be maybe there's a coincidence. Who knows when the manga is written, but yeah, maybe there's some similarities. I mean, the 13 things, though, the 13 states definitely resemble the United States more than almost any other country in the world, other than I guess you could say like Europe as a continent. But really,
Europe has more than 13 countries.
Well,
holy fuck!
Oh, thanks, Miles. The U.S. has more than 13 states.
It did at the start.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
I thought that's what you were getting at.
No, I'm saying
okay.
Just like the different climates and all of them having to work together, and like like like, what does a person from freaking Connecticut have in common with some random Iowan other than liking anime? You know, apparently, like myself and another member in our Discord. You know what I mean? Like that's where I just don't. I see it as like a broader representation or analogy for the U.S. or for Europe in the same way that like clearly Lilium's meant to be the Italians versus the ruling party being the English, I guess, or something. I don't know. But we should get on to final thoughts anyways, because we are running long, but that's not always a bad thing. I think it means we had a good discussion. So let's get on to those final thoughts. So Miles, what is your final score as well as first your final thoughts on ACCA-13?
Yeah, I enjoyed a lot of this. I think the cast was a pretty strong point of this that we didn't necessarily get to talk about as much because there was so much intrigue going on. Jean and Lotta had like a pretty nice relationship and they contrasted each other pretty well. This is the brother and sister. I thought that was nice. Nino was like a cool character and you weren't always exactly sure where he stood, but like you learned that he was like a really good guy like later on, which is nice. And it's not like he redeemed himself. You just, because it's a spy thing, you couldn't figure that out. And like he had a good flashback episode. I'm usually not a big flashback episode fan, but I thought that one was pretty good. Where you learn more about the royal heritage and how all of this is coming out. And that episode was pretty good for letting me piece together future things and how everything was fitting into place. As we had sort of talked about, the ending of this, I think, is like underwhelming, honestly. They do a lot of build up for like a secret counter coup to happen at the end, and it's like it makes sense for what the show is, but I just found it underwhelming and like not particularly satisfying, which I guess is a bit redundant, but what do you do? I'm gonna give this a 7. I enjoyed it though. It was a good 7.
Good 7. Alrighty. Kat, what about you?
Yeah, other than the existential dread that this has given me because of the current climate of our collective country and the way that things are going right now, I really enjoyed this show. It gave me a bit of a reprieve from, as I said, the existential dread, and it has helped me find a little bit of relief from the anxiety that I'm having right now. Maybe it's the timing of when the show came and I watched, but I really enjoyed the show, and even though like I do agree that it is kind of underwhelming with the ending, I really enjoyed that there was a bit of, trying to return to normalcy and everything going back to the status quo. Even though the status quo, in my opinion, is not good, it's still better than anarchy, which is what I desperately don't want. So I really, really did enjoy this show, and it definitely felt like a really nice bit of escapism for me. So for me, I'm going to give this a 9.
Marking it down.
A 9. Wow. Alrighty. Jay, what about you?
Yeah, I thought that the show was pretty good. I thought that it had really interesting world building. I just wish that they would have kind of dove into it a bit more. I think that the themes that were presented were really interesting, particularly the sort of conflict of order versus individuality. I also am not a huge fan of the ending. I think that it was underwhelming in a lot of ways, but I also did like that it kind of ended with like, I like that it was underwhelming, and this sounds like a bad thing to say, but I like that it ended with a whimper. I like that it was a bloodless sort of, not even coup, but change of the. I would even argue that the status quo did change quite a bit, because obviously Mauve and Akka came out ahead of the sort of situation, whereas
like Akka's status quo definitely changed, right? More so than the countries, I guess.
100%. I really, really enjoyed the music for this. I think that the direction in general was really solid. The soundtrack, or not soundtrack, the subtitles were pretty funny. At the ending, it always kept saying that the opening line was Mario Lemieux, who was a famous hockey player known as the Magnificent, is what I learned.
He's the best he's arguably the best player ever too. If he wasn't so injury prone, he would have been better. People, old heads say that he would have been better than Gretzky if he just didn't get injured and had the people protecting him like Gretzky did.
I see. Well, all that to say that I did enjoy this show quite a bit. I just wish that it was maybe a little bit shorter, or perhaps a 2-core or something like that, to really give the mystery time to like develop and go even slower burn with it. Even though I was complaining that it felt like it was too long, I think if the pacing was a bit different, I could have gone for 2 cores of it. For me, this is an 8.
An 8. And I'd be curious too about again, sourced from a manga, right? So like, what would be did it rush over chapters? Did it extend them?
Looks pretty short. It's only 37 chapters.
Yeah, it's probably pretty beat for beat.
Yeah.
Then.
It sounds. Yeah, I was gonna say that seems like it would be pretty close to the pace that they chose, like 3 chapters or so per episode. So, very interesting. Or I wonder how many of those chapters are in the OVAs as well. It makes you wonder.
I'm gonna guess 0 since it's an OVA,
which is an original video animation.
That means completely original from the manga too.
Normally the O stands for original. Yeah,
I don't think so, actually, because the Golden Kamuy OVAs are all stuff that was from the manga but was cut. So
is that
that's what I thought most.
We can get to it later.
Yeah, I was just saying. Well, the original video just means it's never been made before. No, in theory,
OVAs are normally not canon and not.
That's fair.
Source, or if it is, it's lightly like touched on, or it's like the inspiration. But
I feel like there are 2 usages of OVAs. One is like the Konosuba ones, right, where everything is just like horny and stupid and fun, and then there's ones where it's like, oh, we finished the story. Oh fuck. Oh, here's some OVAs.
Thinking of like real life, exactly. Right? Where like the OVAs in real life are like literally what happens next. And it's like in lieu of a second season, here you go. All right. But either way, no, that's fair enough. Well done. All right. Pete, you have your turn now.
Did anybody watch this subbed by any chance? I didn't think so. So I forgot I actually have one bigger complaint. And it's when Groshular is more into the story, is that the entire time they call Mauve until he shows up, and then they start calling her Move. And I hated that. It drove me crazy. I was like, you've been calling her Mauve for 8 episodes, and now she's Move? Okay.
Move. All right, sorry.
This is like a show where it's like, at no point was I like really bored, but I also like wasn't like thoroughly entertained. Like I was happy with what I watched, and I'm glad I watched it. But if you asked me if I ever wanted to watch this show again, probably not. Like I think this was like a really fun one-time watch. It was fun to talk to you guys about it. I don't really have any like interest in like diving into more of this stuff. It was just like a really solid 12 episode show that I liked watching and talking with my friends about. I'm trying to think, because like I do think like the sound design and soundtrack is like the best feature of this, which is a good or bad thing. Gene was cool as shit. I just love.
He's very cool.
His character from like episode 1 to 12 was such like a cool transition, and just sort of seeing the flow of his character. For Pat, his sister reminded me a lot of the girl from Tadaku Never Falls in Love.
Yeah,
looks exactly like her. So maybe
she's a secret princess of a vaguely European country.
Yes,
she is.
Yes,
literally.
Yes.
Have we ever seen them in the same room?
I'm just saying, if there's a Rainbow Shogun commercial at some point in the show, that'd be super fun. Just to be like wink, wink, nudge, nudge type of thing. But yeah, I mean, this is just it's an enjoyable show. I think the payoff was like kind of like mild, but I enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it a 7. I think it was a fun, good show.
God forbid you make my math easy, Pete. How dare you?
My bad.
It's still relatively easy because we're dividing by 5, so no worries.
I also have a calculator.
I did the calculator already.
Mr. Texas Instruments over there.
Fucking nerd.
It's actually just a spreadsheet.
It's not nerd.
I guess that is a calculator. I don't know.
It is a calculator. Yeah, no worries. Let me get my abacus out.
Who asked?
Yeah. I meant to say this earlier, but Jay, loving the earring and shirt combo today. That is phenomenal. I was also about to add that this is perfect for podcast content, but however, we do have a video component on YouTube and Spotify, I believe, right? So why not come check it out? give us a like and a sub and a comment if you're feeling so bold. But yeah, my final thoughts, I had a couple notes written down. I'm glad, Miles, you touched on it, that the cast was very good. That's what I wrote down, I should say. I wrote down that the cast is very good, albeit a bit bloated. And bloated in the sense that there was just so many figures that it was hard to keep track of, especially in a 13 episode show. Maybe like when I'm thinking about it, like you imagine like a Gundam show, but that's because there's like 20 different Gundam shows with all of their casts interconnected and intertwined in some way. But it also did add to the show and add to the characters' depth that they are all interconnected in a different way too. So I don't know. My complaint is also a compliment to the show. The cast themselves, though, their interactions were really fun. I thought a lot of the characters were cool. Their designs were pretty unique, but at least they all reflected where they were meant to be from and or their personalities in some way. I thought that was pretty well done as well. Some visual storytelling combined with their personalities. And the only other note I wrote down was, like everyone else has said, the ending felt underwhelming in terms of its execution, although it is also kind of just how politics also work at the same time when you think about it. Throughout history, most of the time, if it's not a literal war, like what happens to coups, they either succeed or they don't, and they don't usually end up in in like a crazy war, at least especially in modern days. It's like you either know you're fucked or you're gonna win one way or the other right when the gun drops, so to speak, or the shoe falls. So I wrote down, good guys win, or do they? And I guess that's more of an ethical or thought out question there that we won't know the answers to. I guess that's kind of the intention of the show as well. And
did you watch the OVA?
Yeah, I'm tempted to. I really am, because I like Pete. I would say I wasn't like falling out of my seat ready to watch the next episode of this show, but I also enjoyed it the whole time too. I don't think it. Like those first few episodes were a bit slow, but it was enjoyable enough that I wasn't dreading putting on the next one. And I don't think I would ever reach that point with this show. I thought that the political interactions were really, really cool to see and really well done. So I gave the show an 8 out of 10. Final score, final answer. Pretty satisfied with it. I'm pleasantly surprised because I had no idea what to expect coming in. So I'm very, very happy with it. But yeah, that brings our total aggregate score to a 7.88, which is 0.22 or 7.8 flat. Pardon me. Okay. Thank you, Miles. I could sense your breath from however many miles away. That brings it maybe a little more. Maybe
getting closer.
Not that. I did move closer to you, so there is
less
that.
Than a mile now. I'm coming.
oh, you meant literally. Oh yeah, you're coming for me. Oh wow, that's very scary. Your whole house is coming for me too.
Yes, this is the green screen, and I'm running with it behind me.
That'd be crazy. That'd be like a whole.
It's a lot of effort.
But ACCA-13 on Mal has a 7.66, so we're pretty in lockstep with Mal on this one. And I guess that wraps up our discussion on ACCA-13 Territory Inspection Department. Miles, what won for our next episode? What would that be?
Yes, and I spoiled it for everyone. However,
except for Kat.
Nope, he demanded I tell him, so I spoiled it for him too. I figured he might as well be the only person who doesn't. I wouldn't do that to Kat. In third place, we have Interspecies Reviewer, gaining a 5th and ever-looming higher score of legacy points. In second, we have Mind Games with a very strong debut performance. And in first place, we have Scum's Wish by like a lot, which is nice. So we will be watching that. And I want everyone here to remember that this is... I'm even going to put Kat's name next to the nomination when I do it, because he had all of the power in the world to not make this happen, and he chose to. And I have succeeded, and he has to watch it again. So
I can choose not to be on the episode.
Yeah, you don't have to show up. Yeah.
You don't have to show up. It's so true.
Pete famously says,
what are we nominating? How are we doing this?
And more specifically, Yeah, that's what we're watching. Scumswish. Sorry, I was waiting to see if you had more to say. We are watching Scumswish for our next episode. Now, in honor of Pride Month, which started yesterday, as of the time we're recording, we are going to nominate shows that have to do with pride in some different way, whether that's LGBTQIA plus characters or discussions around those their lives or things involving them. It'll make a lot of sense once we're done nominating. But Miles, do you have one ready to off the rip like you normally do, or should I start
I
somewhere
am
else?
like I do every time, and never
Right.
once have I not. I do. I'm going to be nominating "I'm in Love with the Villainous" in the.
Trying to split the Veronica vote. I see.
Yeah, I'm splitting the Veronica vote, unfortunately, because we'll find out what Jay's nominating here, but it will in fact split the Veronica vote. But I've read these light novels, a couple of them, and I like them, and I want to watch the show.
There you go. That's usually a good reason to
And
nominate.
I also want to make sure no matter what we fucking nominate and wins, that we get to discuss incest. I know that's what Pete's making that look
That's
for.
why I dropped the show.
There you go. All right, Kat, what have you got?
It's probably a fairly cliche choice, but I'm going to nominate Given.
It's a banger. I love Given.
I've never seen it, so
And
There
if
you
you
go,
like music,
Given.
What was
really good music
I
in Given.
thinking of?
Was it a show
do
and a
like
movie, or a
It's
movie and a show?
both.
Which
Are you
It's
doing the movie
two
or the
seasons.
show?
No, the movie is
show.
like the third
Oh.
season.
Oh, okay, then it's the show.
just love
that was
Okay.
more my question. Thank you. There we go. All right.
Yeah, no worries. We got there.
Jay, what have you got?
Oh, I'm nominating Citrus.
Okay.
Think about this, Pete. Citrus probably has way more incest than "I'm in Love with the Villain."
It does not actually. It actually has infinitely less incest.
Oh yeah, I forgot you don't care about the actual ethical quandaries that it presents. That's
Yeah.
That wasn't the question. You said it had incest. It does not. Does it have does it have moral questions that probably should be talked about? Yeah, it does.
you
but
don't
it
need to be blood related for it to be incest.
I mean, based off my knowledge, you do, but fuck if that's the normal.
by definition.
You don't. Like at least per Massachusetts law.
Okay, whatever.
I learned this as I was getting married.
Miles is the type of guy who knows like the age of consent in different states.
And it reminds me of one of my favorite Community endings where there's like an episode where two cousins get married and like this guy's just like, I'm like, whatever. And they said, I can make this episode as long as I get on after and say, I wrote the incest episode of Community. He's just like has to like completely sell himself out.
Miles,
Yes.
I will also say, do you know what the incest law is in North Carolina? As we
Let's
are
not.
both
Let's
acquainted
not.
with it.
Let's not.
None of the shows have it then. Who's next?
Yeah, all right. Pete, what have you got?
What are you guys' thoughts on pirating? Because the
Well,
show
we're gonna have to pirate Scumswish because it's apparently off of everything.
it's not
so.
hideout. Okay, then
It is not.
because apparently
Yeah, it was.
Crunchyroll got rid of Wandering Sun, and it was there last year, I thought, but it's not there this year. So
Look, we live in a capitalist hellscape. Let's take some stuff back.
Let's take a stand against pirating if it is available. However, it is not available. So therefore,
yeah, I'm gonna cover all the bases. We got lesbian, we got gay. I'm gonna do trans. I'm gonna nominate Wandering Sun.
ethical pirating, right? There you go. I like it.
Hey,
All right.
Crunchyroll got rid of Wandering Sun. That's transphobic. So therefore,
Yeah.
I'm actually doing the society a good by pirating it.
Not just any
Yeah.
society, the society.
The society.
There we
We're
go.
fighting,
Yep,
we're fighting against
Perfect.
Sony. What do you expect?
Even though I think it got removed before Sony bought it.
Yeah, I was gonna say at least before the acquisition
But
was
still,
final.
fuck Sony. You know.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's why I protested by not getting a Sony television for my living room. Instead, I got a what did I get?
Vizio.
TCL. Who owns TCL? Google, the less evil corporation of
Ah,
Google.
yes, Gulf of America.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, baby. What are we doing? All right, my show. I thought about doing like Zombieland Saga because I thought it would be fun. And Lily, one of the characters is very specifically trans, and I think that they do it in a very like good way, but also in a way where it doesn't even acknowledge it. It kind of just acts as if it's normal without like questioning it, which I thought was really cool.
It's done really
However, I think it's done exceptionally well. Not that I guess my opinion as a cis straight white male matters that much, but instead, then I sat there and I went, let's do something I haven't watched, or that most of us haven't watched too. I'm going to do Whisper Me a Love Song, because I think that sounded interesting, and it's new, and it looks pretty animated wise, at least. Like,
Ooh,
Ooh, some bad news for
you
you.
were not around when this was airing, were you?
I was probably intentionally
Wait.
avoiding it because this is not usually my cup of tea. But
Yeah, it got delayed like
cover
9
art-
months to finish.
the cover art is beautiful.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, a really great PowerPoint.
Oh, is it? Oh, hell yeah, then.
Because I'm an ally, got my Whisper Me a Love Song manga right here.
Should I nominate something else? Then
No,
If
it's a
I-
fine show. It's perfectly fine.
Is it,
Yeah,
is it, like,
just when you
actually-
said it looks lovely, like animated or whatever.
You
that
don't
is-
care about animation.
I understand. Pat said it looks like it's lovely animated, so I did the ooh along with you because I know it's not.
It's
not.
yeah. It's fine.
Yeah,
We
completely.
agree.
It's fine.
Okay.
Just nominate it.
Yeah, all right, yeah, because I was gonna say it's also like I just kind of went down the girls love category, and I was like, what are ones that didn't look problematic, or ones that I did not enjoy that I watched myself already, and it took me a while of scrolling to get to one, but I did find that one, and I was like, that looks interesting.
You should have just two birds, one stone, and done that show you have to watch.
Oh,
there's
gushing
a
over
couple-
Magical Girl.
gushing- I
Yeah.
thought about it. I did think about
Honestly-
it, but I thought that would be cheating.
No, you
There's
can do
also-
that.
it's-
It's not
Yeah, you
cheating.
can do that if you want to.
Well, no, I'm not going to do that.
I
That's,
purposely skipped seasonal so we could do it here, so that it's one less show I have to watch. So I do it all the time.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I will watch that on my own and suffer and on my own for your guys' sake.
I'll watch with you.
I won't.
Okay.
Yeah, you shouldn't watch it with me. It's just funny that this is all same category, including Foodaboo as well, apparently, according to Mal.
Is that a hentai?
Yes, it is literally a hentai, and for some reason it's categorized.
That's
as-
allowed on Mal.
Yeah,
but
hentais
Scott
are on
Pilgrim
Mal.
is not, by the way.
Oh, it is. Oh, interesting. Good to know.
Not that I
learned
would
something
know
new.
what hentai is.
Oh,
I know all
Pilgrim
too well
Takes
what
Off
hentai
also
is.
could have been nominated for this. There's a gay romance in it.
Oh, true.
And what?
Scott Pilgrim Takes Off.
Oh, yeah. That would have been fun.
Shall we end this?
All right. I don't know. Should we? Yeah, no, that'll
I'ma
be my
end it.
nomination.
Let's
Yeah, no,
keep
that's
going.
it.
Thank you,
But yeah,
Pete.
that's Watch Club. Thank you so much. And Pete, take it away.
If you have made this far and you want to support us, the best way to do so, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review on whatever platform you're watching or listening to us on. Next week is the fan favorite My Anime List game, Volume 8, coming back with a vengeance. I think it's been like 7 months since we've done a Mal game, so we'll be doing that next week. Otherwise, if you were here for Watch Club, we will see you in 2 weeks for Scum's Wish. Thanks, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Bye